following is a Jackass Nation production. Subscribe to us on Podbean at jackassnation.podbean.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following show is supported by Amazon.com. Use the link in the description below so you can help support this and all other shows on the Jackass Nation.
Welcome to Nerd Interference, hosted by Coach Matt and the Jackass BC. Powered by Sillinks.com, SCNS Live, the Jackass Nation, and the Offshoots Network. Nerd Interference is interfering with everything you thought you knew about nerds. And now, your host, the Coach.
You're listening to Nerd Interference. I am the Coach, Matt. Joining me today is our main producer, Mr. Rob Entropy, who was kind enough to let us borrow the Channel Control Studios again.
Yeah, I decided that I'll use it every now and then.
Oh, it's nice. I like it. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Channel Control Studios. I mean, you've watched Channel Control, obviously. You watch it every Saturday. But it's great because what you don't see is whenever we record Nerd Interference, he flips out all the walls and there's nothing is white anywhere. It's all TV screens, and that's how he consumes all the TV that he watches. This man watches so much TV on a daily freaking basis. So, Rob, thank you again for having us here. And as for BC, my partner in crime is spending his time in Indiana. He is handling himself a wedding, and I'm assuming he's not really attending. He's more of trying to get somebody away from actually being married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what he did at my wedding, so I'm only assuming that that's what he's doing today. Yeah, if you haven't seen the video of my wedding, you should go on there. You should go on youtube.com/ I believe it's Matt and Alex Wedding, something like that. And you'll find many moments where BC is trying to whisper something in my ear, and it's a lot of, don't do it. Don't do it. Bro, I got a car outside. We can go right now. Even though I got married in my own house.
Exactly.
Yeah, which would have been really problematic. So once again, welcome to Nerd Interference, where we're talking about all of the biggest sports news happening in the world today. And the biggest sports news is obviously the NBA Finals. That's what's going on right now. And yesterday, it was 2 days ago, June 1st, the Cleveland Cavaliers took on the Golden State Warriors in Oakland for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And oh boy, the Cleveland Cavaliers got themselves an awakening. It was a wake-up call if I ever saw one. They handily destroyed the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers did not look like they had looked in the past few weeks of the NBA playoffs, where they pretty much dominated and controlled every single facet of the game. Instead, the Warriors made them look like they were tired. And the main contributing force of that was the man that they picked up this past season, or this past offseason, and that was KD, Kevin Durant, who he blew up and paid dividends for the Golden State Warriors. I mean, this is his one chance to get that NBA Finals ring, that championship that he's been missing out on for his entire career. And this man came out looking angry. He played angry. He was playing defense. He was scoring from everywhere on the court. It was just awesome to watch. I thought that going into this game, it was going to be LeBron versus Steph Curry. I left this game knowing that it was LeBron versus KD. That's how good it was. So the final for the first game was, it was about a 20-point deficit. It was 113-91.
God damn.
That's how bad it was for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the next game is going to be on the 4th, so that's happening tomorrow, Sunday, while you're watching Extreme Rules, but we'll get into that a little bit later on in the program. The Cleveland Cavaliers, that was their first loss in the entire NBA playoffs. I mean, we knew going into the finals that one team was going to break their streak, and it was the Cavaliers who blinked first. But my problem with the NBA finals is that there's just too much time in between Game 1 and Game 2. You had Game 1 on Thursday on June 1st. Now you're having Game 2 on Sunday, June 4th. And it's not like they're traveling. They're not going anywhere. It's going to stay in Oakland. They're still going to be playing in Golden State's arena. But they're waiting 3 days before they play again.
Yeah, that don't make no sense to me. I mean, if you want to give them a break, give them a day, but...
Yeah, a day, that's fine. Now, I understand why they might be doing it, because you have to pay attention to what's going on in the NHL. I understand that, because the NHL, they have their finals going on right now. But my issue is the NHL plays tonight. So why not just play the Game 2 last night? Play it on Friday. So you have Thursday, Friday, NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Then you travel a day. You go over to Cleveland. Then, let's say tomorrow, you do Cleveland Cavaliers versus Golden State. That's Game 3. Then, you go to Monday. Why? But and then if you need any more, you do the same deal that we're talking about. And this is the main format of the actual playoffs. So why change it for the NBA Finals? Why draw it out any longer? I mean, I get it. We're watching two super teams going head-to-head against each other, and it's cool to watch. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm having to wait very long. And I'm a patient person, except in lines. I hate lines. I will not wait in a line. I've gone to E3 every single year, and Eric, the father gamer, will know this, that I do not wait in lines. That I will just be like, all right, you're going to stay here? Great, I'm going to go do something else. And then I'll come back.
I'm just going to walk in circles.
Yeah.
I'm not standing
I just can't. Why? What's the point? This man waited 3 hours in line to play Sea of Thieves. I can't wait 3 hours in a line. That's just, I feel the age, like I feel I'm losing time at that moment. Like, by the time I get to it, I will have already died like 4 years early. Like, it's just, I can't do it. I hate it. Maybe an hour. I'll wait an hour. But 3 hours? I can't.
Nope,
I can't do it. Especially if I have nothing in my hands. I can't play anything. I can't pay attention to something else. Instead, I'm standing in line with the same people who are kind of weird at times, or at least they're cool at first, but then they get weirder later. But anyway, that's a tangent. So, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they play the Golden State Warriors on tomorrow, Sunday, June 4th. Look, they're NBA players. It's not like they're out there playing football. They're not out there playing soccer where they're having to run a whole lot. They're not really doing all that much. I mean, granted, they're only playing about 40 minutes a game. And so now you're giving them 3 days of rest? Like, they don't need that much rest.
I mean, yeah, they don't need that much rest, but to say that they're not really exerting themselves, I mean, they're constantly moving on that court.
Yes, yeah, I play basketball. I'm not great. I play basketball, though. And yes, I understand you're constantly moving back and forth, and there's a lot of strategy going on. But again,
you don't need 2 days.
You don't need three. This is 3 days that they're having to wait, or the audience is having to wait to watch more of their teams playing. And that's the problem. And I think all of it has to stem from the NHL Finals. I feel like if the NHL Finals weren't going on at the same time, then they would probably be playing tonight. And it would be every 2 days.
Yeah.
Which would make a lot of sense. I'd be far more okay with that. But instead, the NHL is still going on, and you have to support whatever the heck hockey is doing.
Honestly, if you're a true sports fan, you're going to find a way to watch both, or you're just going to pick one. You're going to pick the one that means the most to you.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest. Most Americans, it's not hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the only people that I would say are watching hockey are either true fans or anybody in Pittsburgh or Nashville. That's it. Because those are the two teams that are playing right now.
And Dustin.
Dustin, he's a true hockey fan.
He's a true hockey fan.
Yeah. That man loves his Coyotes. That's what it is. Yeah, the Coyotes in Arizona. Dustin is a contributor. He's a writer or really he's more of the head of the gaming side
the game
for Cinelinx.com. So, speaking of hockey, the Pittsburgh Penguins could be wrapping this up really quick. We might not be having the NHL Finals for very long because the Penguins, who are playing today in Nashville, are leading the series 2-0. And Nashville is a relative newcomer to the NHL Finals. Pittsburgh, they're veterans. They've won a lot of championships. So this is going to be something that I can fully see experience taking over in this one. And I'm not going to ask you any questions about that because let's be honest, I know you don't pay attention to any.
Nope.
Yep.
Not at all.
So that is what you can expect this weekend in regards to major sports. You've got the NBA Finals happening tomorrow night, and you've got the NHL Finals Game 3 happening tonight. And but what is something that you can watch in the meantime? What is something that you can watch that you don't really care about the NBA Finals? Maybe you're, I don't know, a Mavericks fan, and you're just like, screw it, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, there's also wrestling happening tomorrow night. It's Extreme Rules. It's Raw's exclusive pay-per-view happening on the WWE Network. And you can hear more of it, more about it, more in-depth discussion on the Offshoots Network as BC is breaking down with his brand new pay-per-view show called Go Home. This is where he only brings it out. He only cracks open the vault whenever it's a big name pay-per-view, and this is what's going on this weekend. So he's already recorded it. He brought in the manliest man, Michael Schaefer. Just a manly man. Wearing
Brute
a
of a
suit.
man.
Brute of a beautiful beard. He wears a suit. As a manly man, Mr. Michael Schaefer, he is, I also believe he's a prospect champion. Correct me if I'm wrong, Schaefer. You can tweet me or whatever you want at Move the Joystick to tell me whether or not you are. But yeah, at the moment, he is the prospect champion in our eyes and in our hearts. So he joined The Real Jackass, which you can find him on Twitter at RealJackAssBC, on his podcast Go Home and on It Is What It Is, which are both on the Offshoots Network and the Jackass Nation Podbean channel. They went over everything that you'd want to know about for Go Home. So Extreme Rules is happening this weekend, and there's quite a bit to get into. First of all, let's talk about the main event, which is not for a championship, which I thought was really strange, because instead it's a fatal 5-way match featuring Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. The winner of that...
What the hell?
Yeah, it's a 5-way match. The winner of that goes on to face Brock Lesnar at, I'm assuming, this is still the name of the pay-per-view, Great Balls of Fire, for the WWE Universal Championship. I still don't know why it's called Great Balls of Fire. Why?
I have no idea.
I still think that McMahon was playing like some poker game with like Donald Trump or something like that. And he was just like, alright, so I don't really have much else to bet, so I'll bet the name of my next pay-per-view. And Donald Trump was like, I think it's fantastic, it's glorious, I have an amazing name for it. And then Donald Trump won, and he's like, Great Balls of Fire. It's going to be amazing, it's going to be wonderful, it's going to be the best pay-per-view of all time. You're going to thank me, you're going to love it, it's going to be splendid. Was that a good Donald Trump impression? Was that good?
It's alright.
Alright. I mean, I do like to look at myself in the mirror and spray paint myself orange and try to do that all the time. So they're going to be facing off in the number one contenders match. I would rather this be a Universal title match, and maybe that's just me being a traditionalist, but I guess they have to work around Brock Lesnar's schedule, which seems like that's a mistake to have even given him the title at that point. Why give him the title if he can't be there every single week? And we made several jokes about how the title has gone missing because he hasn't been around since WrestleMania. So we've got this fatal 5-way taking its place, and I don't know. Like, okay, we got Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt versus Samoa Joe. Can we go ahead and just narrow it down? Let's just take it out. Who are the guys that are not going to make it? I'm going to already say Samoa Joe. I think that's an easy one to say that he's not going to make it.
He's out.
Yeah, he's out. I would even go as far as saying Bray Wyatt isn't going to make it either.
I would agree with you there.
Yeah. So now we're narrowing it down to 3. So we got Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. Now the reason why we took out Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt is because I don't think that they are established enough, or at least Samoa Joe isn't established enough to go on and face Brock Lesnar. And then also Brock Lesnar is kind of a heel. So why would Bray Wyatt, who is also a heel, go and face off against Brock Lesnar? Now, they've shocked the world before. Mm-hmm. We didn't know Bray Wyatt was going to win the Elimination Chamber, and yet he did. So they could still do it. But not for this circumstance, we're going to take him out. So now we've got Roman Reigns, who just defeated The Undertaker, and they're really trying to push him up right now, which is annoying. And then they've got Seth Rollins, who I still don't think he's done with Samoa Joe. I feel like that's still a feud.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's done.
So let's cross out Seth Rollins. He's out too. Now we've got Finn Balor, who was the only guy who was the first Universal Champion that never lost the title. He got injured and he had to give it up. I don't think he's going to win this. I think that Finn Balor loses, and it's going to be a feud between Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, because that's what they've been hinting at for a while now. So now it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title, and the crowd goes mild.
I agree with you there. As far as the Roman Reigns part, they are going to, like you guys told me when I started watching a couple months ago, they've been forcing Roman Reigns on the audience for God knows how long. And if he wins, that's just the rest of their plan. They're just going to force him into whatever they want, so you people better like him. But no one ever will.
Yeah.
Right now, it would be in his best interest to turn heel.
Yeah, it would be. It really would be. And yet they are not going to do that, because that's Raw's John Cena. The Superman who will never die. Hell, one of his finishers is the Superman punch. They didn't even try. So, I'm sorry, WWE fans and wrestling fans alike. Roman Reigns will win this, according to our podcast. Now, if you have a different idea for who will win this, you can tweet us at NI Sportscast on Twitter. Now, there are other ones that are going on as well, other fights. We've got... I feel like this is going to be like a pre-show match. Rich Swann and Sasha Banks versus Noam Dar and Alicia Fox in the mixed tag team match. That's the only one that, out of all of these, doesn't have a stipulation. Now, the big deal with Extreme Rules is that everything has a stipulation. The only stipulation is it's a mixed tag team match, which is not a stipulation, it's just fact. So I feel like that one's going to be like a pre-show match when they're just trying to really promote everything that you're going to see later in their really fake kayfabe opening ESPN pre-show thing. But yeah, then you've got the Cruiserweight Championship, Neville versus Austin Aries in a submission match. I think Austin Aries wins this one because of the third one that they're going to have, and I feel like now is the time that they finally give the title to Austin Aries. You've got the Raw Tag Team Champions match, where the Hardy Boys are defending against Cesaro and Sheamus in a steel cage match.
Ooh.
I know this is what you're excited about. Who do you think wins this one?
I gotta go with the Hardy Boys. I love me some Hardy Boys, but the way they've been doing things lately, I think they may give this to Cesaro and Sheamus.
I actually agree with you. That was going to be mine. This is going to be my upset pick. I think Cesaro and Sheamus win this one, and it continues the feud a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then eventually they'll move on to somebody else. But there's no better tag team on... I mean, except for the Revival, but there's no real other better tag team out there right now than Cesaro and Sheamus that are heels. That could stand toe-to-toe with the Hardy Boys.
If you want to talk about something to keep a feud going on, Sheamus kicking a tooth out of Jeff's face.
Yeah! Man! That was pretty messed up.
Wow. But I mean, the next day he came back, the tooth was back in.
Yeah. He got that. He got that filler put in. Then the Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss defends her title against Bayley in a kendo stick on a pole match, which is the strangest name for a match. Why don't you just call it a kendo stick match? Why do you have to put a placement for it? Kendo stick on a pole. Thank you, Alexa. So I just don't understand why you would do that. You're just going to put kendo sticks on a pole, right? Put it at one end of the ring, and then it's like, okay, I'm ready for a kendo stick. Let me go pick it off like it's a coconut from a tree.
Oh, so that doesn't even have to climb up to get it. It's just on a stick in the corner.
Yeah, they have a pole there, and they're just going to run over, pick it off, and just clack. That's all it is.
Okay.
That's the only thing. So I say Alexa Bliss defends it. I think she wins. She retains the championship, and Bayley goes on to face somebody or another.
Well, I've been seeing pictures of Nia Jax and Alexis together on Instagram, holding barbed wire covered baseball bats. So I'm thinking Bayley may put it to her, but Nia Jax is going to come in and break it up.
You think that Nia Jax is going to break up what? Break them up?
Yeah,
break up their little friendship thing?
No, interfere in the match.
Oh, do you think that she's going to help Bayley win or just help Alexa win?
Help Alexa.
Okay, yeah. I agree. Especially since Nia Jax recently came out and really threw some shade at the WWE writers, talking about how, well, at least SmackDown uses all their women versus Raw, who does not. And we know from last Raw that Nia Jax was not on there, and now we know why. So then you've got Intercontinental Championship match, Dean Ambrose versus The Miz. This is kind of a weird one. If Dean Ambrose is disqualified, he loses the Intercontinental title. So does that mean that it's a deal where if Maurice just slaps the crap out of The Miz during the match, then Dean Ambrose is disqualified and The Miz wins the title?
Yeah, that one sounds a little bit odd to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I get it. Okay, he can't use a chair. He can't do something. I think this is going to be a deal where The Miz wins and screws Dean Ambrose, and you got this feud going on for quite a bit. Because this is a feud that was happening on SmackDown that being transferred over to Raw. And it's been a pretty good one. So that's going to be Extreme Rules. That's happening tomorrow night on the WWE Network. Tweet us what you think is going to happen at NI Sportscast on Twitter. But there's also another match that I wanted to get into that's going to be happening, I believe, on June 18th. It's going to be in a couple of weeks. And that is during the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Now, normally the Money in the Bank match is just for the guys that they're going to climb up the ladder, take off the briefcase, and now they have a future WWE title contract. But now they added all the women to that. So now the women are going to have their own ladder match to get a future women's championship opportunity at any time, at any place, whenever they want. And I think this is a really cool one, and this is the reason why Nia Jax ended up tweeting out that, well, at least SmackDown uses all their women. I think this is awesome. I love this idea. You're trying to really progress women in this women's revolution so women can do it just as good as the men, and they're going to show that in this ladder match. I would like it if this was maybe the main event during Money in the Bank, but I know it's not going to be because they're most likely going to do Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton. And just to bring up that idea that, maybe someone's going to use their Money in the Bank briefcase right then and there. But then nobody ever is going to until somebody just power bombs the guy 4 times through a table, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm here! I'm ready now!" That's how it happens every time. And that's what's exciting about Money in the Bank. So that's going to be happening in a couple of weeks. I love this idea. I love this idea of a women's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah, that sounds cool to me. I mean, you got to use the women, right? Mm-hmm. You got them there. Might as well put them out there. You're paying them. So.
Yeah, and this is the coolest thing about SmackDown. And Nia Jax is completely right. The SmackDown has far superseded what Raw did with the women's division. The way that after this superstar shakeup has been, SmackDown is beating Raw as far as women's usage is concerned. Mm-hmm. They're doing everything possible to utilize them in any form and fashion, and I love it. I think that's great. My main concern, though, with this ladder match is it may not have the same impact as what we've seen in the past with other Money in the Bank ladder match winners. It could, don't get me wrong. I would love it if it did, but there's been so many iconic moments with that Money in the Bank briefcase, that with the men, that they've just run in during, like, the day after WrestleMania, and they just come in and they, like, take the championship, and so it just destroyed whatever legacy the other guy had and the other one. This one, I think it will be done well. I just don't know how it's going to be done, and I'm kind of curious to see if it's going to have that same oomph as the others have.
It would be good if, once they start this whole thing up, that these women are just constantly using it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first chance they get, I'm here's the money, let me get my match. Because, I mean, you're starting something new. These women want to get out there and wrestle. So, I mean, they're going to take that chance to get out there and do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Get that airtime. So, you know.
Well, I just kind of wonder if they're gonna do it like that, where they're just like, all right, I'm ready, let's do it now, or if it's gonna be a thing where they follow the tradition and they wait for their moment. They just hold on to that briefcase for as long as possible, and then they strike whenever the champion is at their weakest. I mean, that's how they've done it most of the time. I think there's only like one person that's ever lost their match after using the Money in the Bank, and I want to say it was John Cena, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that one. But I'm curious to see how they're going to do it. I also want to see what the briefcase looks like. I don't want it to be like...
It'll be pink.
That's what I don't want! I don't want that. I would rather it's a blue briefcase and they just slap women's on top of it. Like, I'd be more than okay with that. I don't want it to be like this outlandishly pink thing. And I don't think they're going to do that. They haven't done that yet with any of their titles for the women. I have a feeling it's going to be white. Because the women's championship is white. It's a white belt. I have a feeling this is going to be white, and the men's is going to be blue. Blue or black. One of the two. Because there's no reason to change it to a different color than black, because Raw doesn't have a Money in the Bank ladder match. So it's not like there's a blue and a red one. That's what they've done in the past. So it could be a black one, and then you have a white one for the women. That would be my guess.
All right, well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That's going to be happening in a couple of weeks. Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Now, before we get to our finale of the day, which is always NFL, we always finish it off the Saturday with some NFL talk. I wanted to talk about esports. Now, 2 weeks ago, I brought up esports for like the first time that we had ever talked about on Nerd Interference, and that's something that I want to bring more to this show. I want to talk more about esports because esports has been it's a growing commodity. I mean, hell, you've got guys from all over the world, like celebrities, that are buying into E-League and esports. You've got TBS that bought the rights to E-League and show tournaments like Street Fighter, and they show tournaments like Counter-Strike and Call of Duty. Or I don't believe they do Call of Duty, but they do Counter-Strike. So you've got all of these different ones, and there's a tournament every weekend for MLG and for esports and all of that. So it's something that we need to cover. It's something that we are nerds. We need to bring this to your attention. So the next one that I want to talk about, last week we talked about the Madden Championship game. I'm going to talk about Rocket League. Currently, right now, you've got the Rocket League Championship Series going on, and teams from all around the world, and I mean all around the world, are coming together to face off against each other for the ultimate prize of being the Rocket League champion. I mean, hell, we've got guys from North America, Europe, Oceania, like all kinds of people from all around the world. And yesterday, it kicked off the three-day tournament. And I was sitting at Nerdvana waiting to do another show of mine, and I was watching some of these games. you think that maybe we're okay at Rocket League, right? We've played it a few times over at QuakeCon. We've had a good time with it, right?
Yeah.
We can't even light a candle to these people.
I haven't even played it.
You haven't played it?
I downloaded it when
Yeah.
it was, the free thing, but I think I played once, and that was it. I just uninstalled it and went to other stuff.
These guys are making an art form out of it. You're going to go on, you're going to play it, right? You have it. So you're going to go on, you're going to play it, you're going to just see what it's about after this podcast is over. And I'm going to guarantee you right now, I'm going to tell you, you are not going to be nearly as good as these guys. These guys are flying, literally flying around the arena to hit the ball. They're in cars, flying around. They're making amazing saves.
Like
They're
rockets on the
like
car?
rockets. Like they're actually using the name in Rocket League. They're not just like on the ground, stationary, trying to just follow the ball. No, they're making the ball go wherever they want. So it's amazing to watch. It's so cool. You definitely have to check it out on twitch.tv. It's so much fun. But there were some really cool matches that I watched yesterday. You had Northern Gaming going up against, which Northern Gaming is the number one, they're the number one team in Europe, going up against the number 2 team in Oceania, Jam Gaming, and they slaughtered them. First game was 6-0, which in Rocket League is pretty good. That's pretty darn good. Then, the next game, I think it was like 3-0. And then the last game, I want to say it was like 4-1.
Oh, okay.
The Oceania team only got 1 point in the entire time that they faced off against them. So
They're the best team in Oceania. Are they the only
No.
esports team?
Well, they're the second. They're number 2.
Oh, the number 2.
They're the number 2, so the number 1 team actually beat one of the better North American teams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's amazing, right? It's cool. It's cool to find out. I think Alpha Sydney. Yeah, Alpha Sydney was the one that beat the America team 3-2.
So I don't know if there's a lot of people out there that follow the whole esports thing, but is it only games that are sports related? Like, I know Rocket League is basically soccer.
Yeah, it's essentially.
And but we do have games that are just basically shooters, like Overwatch or Call of Duty and things like that.
Yeah, there's definitely Overwatch. Overwatch is a big esports one. I mean, it's kind of taken a hit lately, but it's a big one. You've also got Call of Duty. There's one. Counter-Strike. I said that previously. Counter-Strike is a shooter. And then you've also got the one that if you want to make a lot of money doing and you want to get really good at doing it, League of Legends. That's a big one. And that's definitely not a sports game. That one takes a lot of patience and a lot of strategy to do and a good team to do it with. League of Legends is that they actually have a tournament going on right now too. But we wanted to specifically talk about the Rocket League Championship Series. And one of the teams I thought was really interesting is a team called Rogue. And they're the number 2 team in North America.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who owns Rogue?
No, but I don't even know these teams. So
Steve Aoki. Steve Aoki,
the DJ,
the DJ owns Rogue, and currently they are advancing into, I believe, the semifinal round. They're doing pretty well right now. It's like I said, like celebrities are even buying these teams and are doing great stuff with them. Steve Aoki is a big investor in esports. You even got Shaq, who has bought an esports team. Shaquille O'Neal bought an esports team. So let that sink in.
Okay.
How would you feel having Shaq as your main provider, where you just go over to his house and he's just like, "Can you dig it? Hello, come on in. Let's play some Overwatch."
I'm Kazam.
I'm Kazam.
Not Shazam. Kazam.
Kazam. He comes out in a steel outfit. How amazing would that be, right?
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
right?
if he wasn't busy with NBA Finals, yeah, that would be awesome. So, yeah, the Rocket League Championship Series is going on right now on twitch.tv. We're going to be keeping an eye out on it. It's going on June 2nd through the 4th. And, yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. If you're not into esports or you don't know anything about it, just watch it. Just start watching it and get an idea for it, because it is the future. I mean, you asked me this on Twitter the other day. Is esports the future of sports, of major sports that we pay attention to? And I say yes. It's huge. I mean, heck, look at the sponsors that are on for Rocket League. Psyonix, all right, that's fine. Twitch, Mobile One, the oil company.
What?
Mobile One is a sponsor for the Rocket League Championship Series.
Okay.
It makes sense, right? I mean, you're driving cars, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple more. Old Spice is another one, which all right. I mean, they're the weird ones. They always do the quirky sponsorships.
Firestone in there somewhere?
No, not yet. But the last one, and I didn't even know this was still around. I thought it had been discontinued a long time ago. Turns out it hasn't. Brisk, the tea.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh, that's brisk.
They were showing off last night. They were showing off their new flavor, kiwi watermelon, and it was fluorescent green.
Okay, all right.
No, fluorescent green. I feel like you drink it and you immediately become glow in the dark.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And 7-Eleven is the other one, and that makes sense too. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, the Rocket League Championship Series is happening. This is season 3, June 2nd through the 4th. It's happening in LA right now, a place I will be next weekend with BC for the World Championship Tournament. Not that, but we'll be there for E3.
I mean, I've read some articles. I just want to say this one last thing.
Yeah.
But, where they're talking about the controversies within esports. Apparently, these guys, kids, whatever in there, are taking a lot of performance enhancing, I won't say drugs, but like Monster and things like that. But they're going to other sources and stuff like that to just get that boost. That I'm up, I'm ready, I'm wired, I'm this and that, and I'm like, really? Are they talking about like something to regulate this thing? Like,
I'm sure they will. They're going to add P-tests and everything like that.
Yeah, they're probably going to have to.
Well, Adderall. That's probably a big drug.
Yes, that is one that people are taking also for esports. So.
Yeah, like I've never taken Adderall, but I know a few friends of mine who have. And have you ever taken Adderall?
No.
Okay, so the main consensus is that when you take Adderall, like, this is the mentality you get whenever you take it. So you pop it in, and then a few hours later, or whatever, maybe minutes, you're just like, I am the best at whatever it is I'm doing. Like, if you take it and you just start driving, you're like, I'm the best at driving. And you're just so focused. That is all you know. That is all you do. So, and you don't even eat. You don't sleep. You feel like hell the next day. But because it's a form of meth. So you take it and you're just like super into whatever it is that you are doing at that moment. So it makes complete sense to me that any guy who is playing in esports takes that pill and they're just like, I am the best at League of Legends. It would not surprise me at all.
Okay.
But it would also not surprise me if they regulated it one day. And they're like, okay, no, you can't play unless you take this P-test. And then you're suspended or something.
If you find Adderall in you, your whole team's suspended.
Sure, yeah. Why not? That makes sense, right? Why wouldn't they? All right, so we're about to pivot over to NFL. But before we do, this month, there is 2 sides to everyone. The side we see and the alter ego that remains hidden. Explore the secret nature of some of pop culture's favorite heroes with June's theme, Alter Ego. Featuring items from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, other Marvel characters, DC, and Transformers, Loot Crate is a subscription box service which provides boxes of geek and gaming-related merchandise, and, as always, it includes its monthly t-shirt and pin. There's a wide variety of boxes to choose from. You can get the traditional Loot Crate, or you can move on to Loot Gaming. You can do Loot Anime. There is Loot Pets for your man's best friend or maybe a kitty that you have. There is anything that you could possibly get from Loot Crate. We love it. We always wear everything that they provide us. And if you can too, if you use our code SCNS Live to save 15% off your first subscription box today. That is Loot Crate. All right, let's get into some NFL. I did that in my mind. I wanted to like do a theme song to like kind of like sing that, but then the only theme song that came to mind was NBA, and that's not obviously the NFL. Top story for NFL news is Jeremy Maclin was cut from the Kansas City Chiefs. The wide receiver signed a 5-year, $55 million deal 2 years ago with the Kansas City Chiefs and is now out of their organization. He was 29 when he got cut. And it's a bit surprising because Jeremy Maclin, yeah, he's been injured on and off for his career, but he was their best option at number 1 wide receiver. Now, all they have left is the kid that they picked up in the draft, Jehu Chesson. They've also got Tyreek Hill, who blew up at the end of the year, and they've got Chris Conley, kid that they picked up a couple years ago from Georgia. So now they've got no legit number 1 to draw double coverage with, and it makes me think that they're really hoping that Tyreek Hill becomes their number 1 guy. But the question is he too small?
Maybe they saw something in practice. I don't know.
They would have to, because OTAs is when they cut Jeremy Maclin, which is really strange that they would cut him right then and there. But it makes sense on a salary standpoint because they cut him after June 1, which means that they're not really liable for some of his contract. So Jeremy Maclin is out. I'm curious, though, where's he going to go? What's a team that's a wide receiver needy team that could use a guy of his services, 29 years old, has had an injury-plagued season or injury-plagued career so far, but yet he could still pull it off if he needs to.
God, I
it's a hard question. It's a hard question.
The first 2 teams that pop into my head right now are Jets and Browns. But I really don't think the Jets would need him.
I could see the Jets, though, because without Brandon Marshall, all you have is Eric Decker. You have Robbie Anderson from last year, but I think he had an altercation previously with some police, so I'm not sure if he's going to be disciplined or not. So I'm not sure. I could see them using his services. The Browns are a good option. I mean, all they got last season was
Browns need anything they could get.
I meant the Rams. I'm going to say the Rams. Because you've got, Robert Woods and Tavon Austin, and that was it that you have for Los Angeles. So now you could, and Cooper Kupp, but none of them are that legit number 1 wide receiver that Jeremy Maclin could be, and I think he could be a good veteran for that young class of wide receivers over in St. Louis, or not St. Louis, formerly of St. Louis, in Los Angeles now. Next up, Colin Kaepernick. There was a lot of news that he could be going to Seattle. He's not. Pete Carroll said that they are not signing him, but says that he is a starter in this league. He was a starter a couple of years ago. He is not a starter anymore. He's a backup. And I don't know if maybe they brought him in and they thought to themselves, nah, he's a guy who needs to be out there and needs to really be our number 1. But Colin Kaepernick, I just don't know where he's going to end up. I have a feeling nobody is going to sign him based off of the protest he did last year, which is insane. It's insane that one protest means that all of these NFL owners won't give one guy a shot.
Uh-huh.
Hell, Ryan Fitzpatrick got a shot before Colin Kaepernick.
Look at some of the crap that goes on. Ray Rice hits his wife.
Yes.
Or hits his fiancée at the time. They get married after, and he's pretty much cut out. He's
the face of domestic violence.
Yeah, he's forever banished.
Yes.
Greg Hardy chokeslammed the girl onto a bunch of guns on the sofa and told her, "I'm going to kill you, bitch." And he ended up on the Cowboys a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And
now he's at MMA, which is weird.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if you want to tell you, but I mean, so they want to think. This thing comes up, you're the first one. Make an example. Kaepernick comes up and does this. You're the first that did this. We're going to make an example out of you.
See, but Kaepernick, what he did was he actually brought awareness. He had people talking. which was what he was really out there to do. He was trying to have people talk more about the racial profiling, the racial issues that were going on. And now, because of it, it's ruined his career. He could still play. He could still be a viable backup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, everybody has their own beliefs, their own lifestyles, their own feelings they have on every issue that's going on in America. But yet they're still employed with the NFL because they don't come out and kneel down during one of the most quote-unquote patriotic moments of the NFL season. And now, because Colin Kaepernick did it, because he was trying to bring social justice or awareness to social justice, he's done. He's out. He's a pariah now. And that's insane to me. Like, what would be the problem with signing him? Do you really think that suddenly everybody's going to buy Colin Kaepernick jerseys for your team and just burn them right then and there on the spot? Do you think ticket sales are going to go down because they're like, oh, he doesn't believe in America? No, they don't care. If he's in the right spot, being a backup, he'll be fine. I mean, just think to yourself, what if he's in like Green Bay? They don't care. They're still going to come.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody from Wisconsin is going to say, oh, I'm not going to the Bears now, or to go watch the Bears versus the Packers. They're not going to do that. They're still going to show up because they love their Aaron Rodgers. They love their team. And no amount of Colin Kaepernick is going to stop that.
Hell, there are even times where even if you hate something, the people that hate you are your biggest supporters and the people that like you.
Yes.
So they're going to show up.
Yeah.
Or they're going to make a big stink about it and get airtime. So your name's going to be out there. I mean, either way, but I'm thinking the team's looking at as this guy is a problem or a cancer, and we don't want to bring that into our teams.
But he's not
because
a
we
cancer.
Don't want. But that's just the lingo that they use. I've heard it used years ago for other players.
Yeah.
It's like he's a cancer, we need to get rid of him. He's a cancer, blah blah. They don't want him coming in and causing any problems.
Sure.
So instead of it, just cut out the middleman and say, you know what, now we don't want him. We'll just we'll blah blah blah.
Look,
blah.
he might have been a cancer at some point. I mean, whenever he got success really quickly, and he might have been, because I heard different stories about him like sleeping with another teammate's girlfriend or something like that. I don't know the full specifics, so I don't really want to get too far into it. But he might have been at some point. But the amount of conflict he's had and the amount of drama he's had to deal with since Jim Harbaugh left the 49ers, that will humble a man. And there's no doubt that this man has been humbled. He has been the poster child for social justice. He came in, he played all right, but he wasn't that starter that he was under Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
He's not making the same money that he was making whenever he first got signed to that big extension. So there's a lot of issues that he's gone through that's going to humble a man. That a team, an NFL team, could take a chance on and say, hey, look, this is going to be a prove yourself contract. We're going to give you, say, like a base salary of like $2 million, right? Which is not a lot for NFL standards. You come in here, you work hard every day, you be a great teammate, you work with our starting quarterback, you help them out every which way as possible, you work in the film room, you come here, you be the last person to leave, the first person inside the facility. All right, we'll keep you around. Like, say, like somebody like the Indianapolis Colts, you do that with him.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Like, what's the problem? You really think that a backup's just going to be like, social justice, look at me, I'm the backup? No,
well,
he's going to toe the line. He's already said that he will stand for the national anthem.
But do you think that Pete Carroll has kind of poisoned the well a little bit by saying, yeah, we're not looking at picking this guy up, but he's a starter. So you got everyone in their heads thinking like, okay, do we need a starter? Not really. And some people looking at him like, should we take a chance on him? They're all thinking starter now.
Sure.
Where Pete Carroll should just said, no, we're not looking at picking him up, but he would be a great addition to any other team out there. We've got our quarterbacks in place, but another team, he'd be perfect for them. That'd be it. A lot of people thinking, hey, what do you think we take a look at Colin Kaepernick? But now they're like thinking, we don't need a starter. We got a starter. And
I could see that. I could see some teams getting that idea, but I also could see a lot of teams thinking to themselves, we have our own information. We don't need to hear what Pete Carroll has to say. If they want to bring him in, they're going to bring him in. I mean, I know that a lot of the NFL kind of shares stuff under the table, but I really think that it's not going to impact him too much as far as poisoning the whale. Now, if they had come out and said he was horrible, he was terrible, he was out of shape, he couldn't throw the ball 10 yards, that would poison the well.
Definitely.
For sure. All right, so keeping up with quarterbacks, the rest of the time, we've got a couple other quarterback stories. One of them is coming from my hometown, Houston, Texas, where Deshaun Watson is on the rise in Houston, where Bill O'Brien has come out and said that he's been putting forth the work. He's been surprising a lot of people and getting the playbook a lot quicker than they thought he would. So does that mean that Deshaun Watson could be a starter coming into week 1 of the season? Now, I don't think he'd be the starter in the preseason, but he could potentially show enough stuff to really push the idea that he's the starter for a week 1. I personally would love it. I think it'd be great, but if it doesn't happen and you got Tom Savage under center week 1, I'm not going to be too angry about that, because you're then allowing Deshaun Watson to grow, to develop, to become that franchise player underneath, not having to work so much, being able to watch, observe, practice, show what he's got, build a rapport. I've heard he's also been building a rapport with a lot of the players too. So I would love it if he was, but I wouldn't be angry if he didn't. Because let's also be honest, we make this joke every single time we talk about Deshaun Watson and Houston Texans and everything like that. Tom Savage is going to be down by like week 3 or 4. Which means enter Deshaun Watson.
I'm like, look, if you want to give the kid a chance, go for it. But put him in there. See what he can do. I'm not making any judgment calls right now because of what happened with the Giants with David Wilson. David Wilson was a brand new pickup they got. They went through the playoffs. The preseason. He was awesome.
First game. He fumbles.
I don't think he fumbled again.
Yeah,
the next thing he fumbled again, it was like, okay, get him off the field.
Yeah, I think he fumbled twice, and he was on the sidelines crying. I remember that. And now he's out. He's out of the league.
He's out. So,
he had a neck injury, so he left.
Yeah, if you got a new kid and you have faith in him, put him in. See what happens. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, whatever. But I'm not going to laud all kinds of celebration and stuff on this guy like, oh, yeah. No.
That's what the Cowboys did with Dak Prescott.
Well, they got lucky.
They did. They really got lucky with Dak. All right, our final story is our favorite quarterback out of Texas A&M, Johnny Manziel. He's back in the news, everybody.
Oh, my God. What did he do?
It's actually not what he's done. It's what he wants to do. He wants to make a comeback. And this comes from an interview with Travis Benjamin, wide receiver from the Los Angeles Chargers. Johnny Manziel has been working with Travis Benjamin and Odell Beckham to try and...
Odell?
Yeah, Odell! That's one of the reasons why Odell didn't show up for OTAs. So he's been working with they've been working with Johnny Manziel, and Johnny Manziel is ready to make a comeback. But my thought process is, who's going to even try? Who's going to even look at him and say, all right, let's give him another chance? He had his chance. He had all the chance in the world with the Cleveland Browns. But he didn't do anything. He didn't put forth the effort. He didn't put his nose to the grind. He didn't toe the line. Instead, he decided to drink, party, and go crazy, and then be on the field stupid and drunk, and then get kicked out of the league.
Mm-hmm. You remember that phrase I said a couple minutes ago about this guy's a cancer?
Yes.
That's Menzel. I mean, he is what I've talked about before about these young kids, these 19, 20-year-olds who get this big contract, and you went from almost nothing to a freaking millionaire.
Yep.
What do? You're 19 years old, and bam, a $50 million contract. I would lose my damn mind. And basically, that's what Johnny did.
Well, Johnny was like that before.
Yeah,
we knew that.
He was a party boy from before.
Well, and I think success got to his head too quickly. He was a phenom in Texas A&M, and then he got an awakening call or a wake-up call when he got to the NFL. I mean, the Browns. I remember watching, keeping an eye out during that season whenever they were doing the combine with Johnny Manziel and everything like that. And I remember watching and thinking to myself, he cannot go in the first round. Johnny Manziel cannot be a first-round pick. And then the Browns picked him at number 22, I believe. And I remember believing, like, that's a mistake. And I remember everybody was like, Johnny Manziel, Cleveland Browns, Johnny Manziel, Cleveland Browns. And I was like, no, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, you're probably sitting there like,
and I'm an Aggie fan.
Did this guy from Draft Day?
Oh, yeah.
Did he make the pick on this one?
Yeah, Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner.
Did Kevin Costner make this pick? What's going on?
Matt. Yeah. All right, so tweet us if you think which team is going to pick Johnny Manziel to be their backup, or at least bring him in for some sort of practice or look through. Tweet us at NI Sportscast, or you can tweet me at Move the Joystick. You can tweet BC at Real Jackass BC, RealJackassBC, or you can tweet Rob at Entropy1. Also, before we go, I wanted to answer Michael Schaefer's challenge to me for Madden. He came on It Is What It Is and Go Home, and he talked some smack to me, or no, I wasn't there, but he did some talking smack about beating me on Madden. Then he progressed and messaged me personally about joining his Madden league, and then, how he's going to beat me, and it's going to be Chicago Bears versus Houston Texans, and that, Madden NFL 18, that's it. That's the end of my streak. Good luck, Michael. Only one person has scored a touchdown on me that I've played out of all the people in our group, in our circle. I want to see what he's got that makes him think that he can be the first one to do more than that.
Who has scored on you?
BC. BC scored once, I believe.
Oh, really?
It was either BC or it was Ricardo. One of them scored once on me. But, anywho, good luck, Michael. I look forward to destroying your Chicago Bears with the greatest defense in the league from the Houston Texans. It's going to be Deshaun Watson, the true quarterback in this past draft, going up against Mitchell Trubisky, the pretender. And on that amazing and wonderful notes, we bid you good day. And thank you so much for watching Nerd Interference, and enjoy the sports week.
This has been Nerd Interference, powered by Cinelinks.com, your one-stop for your news, reviews, editorials, and more. Keep it on Cinelinks. Also brought to you by SCNS Live, every Thursday night on YouTube.com/SCNS Live, as well as the Offshoots Network on iTunes. Special thanks to our producers, Rob Entropy and Jason the X. Nerd Interference, interfering with everything you thought you knew about nerds. We'll see you next time.